We are here to actually provide all the support to develop students to become a confident graduate that is needed by the industry. Please feel welcome to visit us to see how we do our transformation of students.
hi guys, my name is JJ,
My name is Senna.
and welcome to a talk with Illegear, hosted by SEGi College Penang.
And today we'll be having a special guest with us tonight.
And the special guest is Mr. Sean himself, the marketing executive of Illegear.
So,
Hi,
for
guys.
those who have not yet registered themselves for the lucky draw session, please do so before the halftime.
You can register yourself through the QR code below. Also, the winner must present themselves in the comment section within the 2 minutes given. And also, if you still haven't registered yourself, please do so now, within the 5 minutes given.
As you can see, I'm sitting at home right now during this MCO period. In fact, I'm still attending online classes by using online communication software with my lecturer so that our learning progress is not halted even in this MCO period.
Our learning progression still can be carried on as normal.
Using online video software and Blackboard with my classmate.
I had also experienced our online orientation together with my new classmate, which is a very unique experience for all of us.
During this MCO period, we are lucky that SEGi still continue to provide online classes for us through an online system called Bagpack, so that our study progress will not be affected.
We still manage to learn new things thanks to online classes provided by SEGi.
We have been given a lot of assignments and tasks by our lecturers, and that's really stimulated our thought and given us something to do.
In this movement control order period, I can still learn normally through online platforms such as Blackboard.
This system is provided by SEGi itself, and all students in SEGi can access it. The lecturers will upload the newest contents of the lessons in Blackboard, so that we are able to learn through online during the MCO period.
It is a very good platform
where we can access all our course outlines and syllabus anytime and anywhere.
I can use them for my own study and my own revision at home. So as you can see, MCO does not affect my study in SEGi College.
By using this Blackboard system, we can get our study materials.
We can also submit our assignment and also create group discussion through Blackboard so that our lecturers can able to check and also give feedback to make sure that we can clearly understand what is being taught in the online classes.
And we do also learn new contents in our subjects and studies from that software every week when we have classes.
It allows us to hand out assignment, download tutorial, or having an online discussion very easily.
We can still read the notes and can catch up with our studies during this unpredictable time.
I can always upload and submit my tutorial and assignment on time.
Very convenient way. Hence, this Blackboard system is very useful for us to study at home during this MCO period.
Also, if we met any problem on our assignment or coursework, we could seamlessly have consultation with our lecturers through the online video conferencing system.
We can always approach them whenever we have doubts and hesitations in our subjects or studies.
Our lecturers and the IT department are also very good at their methods of teaching. They help us in every lesson, and if I'm being honest, it's almost like being in the class because everyone's very interactive in the chats.
And the lecturers have been very helpful and engaging during this time, and they teach us in the same way, like as if there is no movement control order at all.
And my lecturers are actually conducting online consultations through other online platforms as well, so it doesn't get in the way of my learning.
The lecturers will upload the slides and the videos of them teaching to let us learn, and also will upload the tutorials for us to make sure we really understand what we are learning.
We students are constantly updated about the situation and our classes. We also are updated through our schedule. Lecturers inform us through multiple platforms.
So far, e-learning is working great for me.
In this case, we can learn in our house too.
I'm very happy that my studies are still up to date till now.
And remember guys, stay home, stay safe during the MCO period.
Hi, my name is Illegear, and I'm a SEGi College student.
I'm Adrian.
I'm Alex.
My name is Ang Wei-jin. My name is Chacha King.
I'm Kachan.
Yes, my name is David.
My name is Pun Chi.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
I'm Mike.
I'm what?
I'm Okota.
I'm Hero.
My name is Sean.
My name is Senna.
I'm Wisya.
My name is Tanish Nair.
Thank you very much and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, before we start, any gamers out there would like to drop a comment, let us know what kind of laptop or laptop brand you're using,
And maybe do let us know where have you heard the name Illegear from. Okay.
So, without any further ado, let's start the live session now. All right, once again, welcome to a live talk with Illegear, and we're very honored to have Mr. Sean here as our guest. He's the marketing executive of Illegear, the company. As a start, we would like to thank Mr. Sean himself for making time for this session. So, Mr. Sean, are you ready?
Yeah, sure, let's go.
All right. So, Mr. Sean.
So, Mr. Sean, can you introduce yourself and give us a little bit of a background info of what Illegear company does?
Well, sure. Just make it short because I don't want to include too much of introduction or else people get bored of it. So let's see. Illegear is actually a Malaysian company who actually doing more customization laptop and desktop for user market. So our main goal, of course, we are trying to provide much more of a customization, our main key customization, and giving the performance and of course cheaper price. Yeah, people are looking for the price. Well, that's one of the things. We are trying to provide one of the top-notch and with affordable and reasonable price and with customization ability of the desktop and the laptop for everyone to use. Now, since that, and our main, we have started at around 2011, so it's much more around 9 years already. So next year will be 2020. Yes, 10 years anniversary very soon. So we've been in Malaysia for doing this kind of business for more than 9 years already.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sean. Now let's start our first question. All right. Now, do you reckon what kind of specs or laptops do you recommend for gamers that are looking forward to the upcoming AAA titles such as the Cyberpunk 2077 itself? Because I've heard that the specs requirement are quite high.
Yeah. Well, regarding this question also, I saw some live comment also asking some similar question on what kind of spec and what kind of laptop are suitable for student. So just let me get a sample, a really brief sample. Maybe I just use SEGi student as example. Most of the SEGi student at Penang most likely are computer science student, or maybe more on computers, or maybe more on designs. So let's based on design first. If you are triple A gamer, you wanted to game on a very high spec one. Well, of course, you need to base on your budget also. But let's say without budget constraint, you want to enjoy for more than 4 to 5 years without changing anything. Of course, you need to take care of laptop and need to settle your own work also and your student work. Or maybe after you graduate, you also want to continue using a laptop. Of course, I do suggest you to go as high as possible. Let me explain why. Of course, it's not that I wanted to earn people money, or maybe other brand wanted to sell you stuff, sell you expensive stuff. But just let me explain to you why we want to do that. First, if you want to game AAA game with a very high graphic, you want to last longer, a graphic card, usually I do tend to you go to RTX 2070 for nowadays. I just give you a reason why. Why I say 2070. You can just base on the very old, a few years ago, like when the GTX 9070 came out, the 90 series came out, then after that is a 10 series, then after that 20 series. Usually the graphic card that lasts the longest is the 70 series. That's like the 970, the 1070, and the 2070. Usually this 70 series lasts much more longer in terms of the drivers, in terms of graphic capability, and in terms of the graphic. Let's say if you want to go budget constraint, you can go for RTX 2060. Yes, I never say it doesn't work. Yes, it does work. But along the years, when the game's requirement, or maybe your software requirement, or maybe your other stuff requirement getting higher and higher, need more and more graphic power, your 2060 might not be enough. It's not that the card itself, not that the laptop itself are spoiled. It's just that the power output are not enough for your need. Some people might say, I want to get a laptop. They want to go cheap and cheerful. Yes, it's okay, no problem. But after a few years, they will complain, or maybe they will want to have more power. It's reasonable because all the software update, all the game update, even the Windows update, even your Photoshop also update, you'll need more and more power from it. So if I want to give a suggestion for especially students, well, let's see, if you're a fresh grad, you are very fresh grad, you're starting your first year, your first year of degree, I do suggest you to get a cheap and cheerful one, because you never know when you want to change laptop after you graduate. So it's just a personal opinion. This one is very personal. It depends on you. If you have the budget to go a higher one, of course you can go the higher one straight from the start. But if you're getting your first laptop, or maybe your own very first gaming laptop, I do suggest you to go to a mid-decent one. The budget doesn't go too high, so it doesn't hurt your wallet at all. And after that, along the year, after you're done with your graduation and stuff, after you go to the professional world or the industry world, then you only get a better one. That's my take. So, but it's depending. If you want to go very high straight from the start, that one I do recommend also, but it's all depend on you lah. Oh yeah, just let me answer one more question just in case I forget it, because I saw someone asking about the warranty issue. So since I'm already talking about our laptop and stuff, so just let me explain a bit for that warranty. If you by chance to get our laptop, and of course it's under warranty, and you're worried about the service, and if you're not in KL, of course we do have a pick-up service for your laptop and do service for you. Yeah, no worries about that.
Oh. Okay, thank you, Mr. Sean, for answering the first question. So now I'll be hitting with you the second question. Okay, so which is the most popular Illegear laptop, and why is it popular?
Wow. Actually, well, if you want to say the most popular one, we do have one or two, but in terms of others, well, each of them are popular in their own way. So let me just explain a bit. We have a few models like the Raven SE, the Onyx series, and the Onyx Ryzen series, or maybe the RSP. They do have their own charm in their own way. And which I say the popular one, well, they are the same, to be honest, because they have their own charm. What I say, every model suit for different purposes. Let's see, if I want to say the most popular one for student, most likely will be the Raven SE one, which is cheap. Well, of course, affordable. I will not say cheap. I said affordable. Another one will be the Ryzen series for our Onyx, or maybe the RSP, which is a desktop CPU which can give much more power. Well, of course, for student-wise, they usually go for a more affordable one. If for another one, our Onyx Pro, which is more to creator and more to very professional usage, like people want to use for Maya, they want to use for 3D, they want to use for construction work. We do have a lot of those kind of customers. They want to do very heavy duty work. They will go for the higher end one, like our Onyx Pro, the Onyx G, or maybe the Select Pro. It's all depending. The trend is there. So you maybe just let me know what kind of trend you're looking for. Maybe I can just explain you more on that. It's much more better because we have a lot of series over here.
Okay. All right. So I have played around with Illegear's website a bit. Like, I have checked it out, and I have seen that the customization is very big. That means you guys have a variety of customization. Like, could you tell me how do you look into those customization? Like, what do you guys select to have the certain parts to be put in your laptop or desktop and Illegear?
Well, for customization, of course, there's a lot of parts, but on our website, we do show a really handful of parts. That not everything, of course, not until to very deep core. We are more onto those utility parts. It's like your RAM, your SSD, your graphic card, your CPU, and such. Usually on some opinion on how you choose your parts is based on what you're going to do with the parts. It's not about the price first. Price we leave it aside. We just choose your parts based on your needs. It's just like some question I saw over here. Some people ask what's suitable for a student, what's suitable for this kind of thing, what's suitable for this kind of thing. So it's actually really based on your need. Let's say based on this person question, he want to ask what kind of laptop are suitable for a secondary student. Let's just say since he's a secondary student, he are not really focusing on major subjects like 3D designing, not really needed for high CPU power. But for secondary student, and assuming he's not gaming, he just want to use for normal usage, just like workers like us who are salary worker, some normal employee, I do suggest that you can get a high battery performance laptop, which have a very high battery capacity and a good decent RAM that will let you go around, because currently I don't think 8 GB is enough anymore, and a decent amount of SSD. As I say, it's really depending on what you want, and of course budget is one thing. So if I want to give my own opinion, if you want me to do some suggestion, no matter whatever courses you're doing, whatever thing you're doing, of course, I do suggest that you go to a bare minimum of RAM, like 16 GB, and the bare minimum amount of SSD is around 500 GB. Because right now the files are big, especially if you are a gamer, one game that costs you around 50 GB already for AAA game, especially. And the CPU or GPU, the rest is all depend on you. But for the RAM and SSD, I suggest you go to the bare minimum. The rest, well, up to you.
Okay.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going in for a halftime break now. If you still have any other friends who are very interested in laptops, desktops, or anything related to PC, you can ask them to join us now. And also, do not forget to remind them to register our lucky draw at the end of this session, because the lucky draw session will stop after this halftime. We're back. Here comes the third question, Sean. All right. Yep. I've been going through your website lately, and I can't help but notice that you guys have your own external GPU enclosure. Could you tell me about how it works, and is it really compatible with every other laptops? Is it universal, or some laptops only can support?
Oh, well, if you are talking about GPU on a laptop, this might be a bit deep. I try to make it simple. Usually on desktop, you can sort around with the parts, right? But for laptop, regretfully, no matter where you go for laptop, you are not able to sort off the GPU or maybe the CPU itself, because these parts are actually already soldered to the motherboard itself. So people, this is one of the down point for laptop. But of course, you want to have a laptop. You want to have something small with performance. You must sacrifice something. So you cannot have to you can sort around. So even though if you manage to take it out and you want to sort it in, is virtually not workable for laptop itself. So I hope this one can answer your question, because a lot of people also ask that whether we can sort out our graphic card, we can upgrade our CPU, we can upgrade our other stuff for our laptop. Regretfully, no. But of course, for RAM and SSD, that one is still manageable, because that one is more to different parts. It's not soldered in. But for graphic card and CPU, it's already soldered. That one, too bad, we cannot do anything. No matter, even though it's customization, no matter how we go, of course, before you purchase, of course, our representative, of course, we talk to you what kind of spec you want, what kind of configuration you want. That's why just now we also mentioned a bit how long you want to use the laptop for. Because laptop, once you bought it, you cannot change most of the part unless only for some utility item like RAM and SSD. That's why usually I will keep on asking what you're going to use for, because this will affect greatly. If you go for cheap and cheerful like desktop, since you think desktop can always change, that one for desktop is fine. But for laptop, if you get a too low spec for what you need and you think that you can upgrade, well, that one is a bit wrong. That's why for laptop, you need to think twice. You need to know what you're going to do for, then you only can get it.
Okay. Thanks, Sean, for answering that question. So I'll be asking you the last question, which is, in your take in overclocking a processor, does it damages the processor, or does it shorten the lifespan of the processor? What do you think about overclocking?
Overclocking wise, well, in theory wise, it will not harm But of course, everything you need to have a moderation and have a reasonable time. Of course, you like every time you're on your computer for like at least 12 hours and you just overclock until the end of your usage. Of course, that will be more or less will harm at the top. It's just like your car. If you like stress to the maximum for every time you use, of course, it will shorten the lifespan. So I do suggest that if you want to do overclocking, you need to know what kind of clock. Well, this is a bit deep. Let me just try to be simple. If you want to overclock someone, like you want to clock boost, or you want to just do a normal GPU boost, this you don't need to like everything pull to the max. It's like you're using MSI Afterburner, the most easiest one. You just overclock, you just pull everything to the max. Of course, that one will damage. You need to know what your graphic card can do. You need to know that your graphic card can go onto what kind of core, like core speed, like CPU also. Like CPU, some of the CPU like i9, Intel i9 can go to 5.5 at most 5.3 gigahertz, depending on how you clock it. But usually it's around there. So if you do not know your value and if you overstress it, of course for a short period it will still work, but it might cause a lot of problem for your laptop. But to be honest with you, you are not necessary to overclock your laptop. For desktop, it's different, but for laptop, I do not think you are necessary to do overclocking or even undervolting, because these both are already optimized in your laptop, unless you are stressing out like you're using a GTX 1650 Ti and playing triple A game on everything maximum. Of course, that one will damage your stuff, and I do not suggest that you go that way, because you are stressing out more than it should be, because the capacity is only like last you a cup of water, but you want to make it be a gallon of water, so it's impossible to do that. So I do suggest you not to do that, not to do that too often, unless you know what you're doing. Do it in moderation and just don't overdone it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sean. Now we're moving into the Q&A session. Anyone in the comment section below would like to ask Mr. Sean anything? We'll pick two or three questions.
Sorry, a lot of questions though.
Anything else?
All right,
Just ask me.
Okay, for first question, I think I saw someone tackle it already. What is your biggest challenge in customization of product to fulfill what your customer wants? The biggest challenge in customization, the customer do not know what they want. Well, it's normal. It's like just like you buy something you do not know. Of course, you do not know what kind of customization you want. Of course, the people will be like me, like my colleague will be like me. Keep on asking you a lot of questions. You might feel a bit like I'm like asking why you ask so many questions. Well, of course, we wanted to let you use the laptop as much as possible, of course, based on your budget, based on your requirement. If you do not let us know what kind of thing you wanted to go for, what usage you wanted to do, so I just said you want to use a laptop, but you expect that more than that. It's just like you buy a Myvi, you want to race with a Ferrari. It's impossible. It's just something like that. So of course, one of the biggest challenge is like we do not know what they want. So that's why I'm like asking a lot of people, what you want, tell me, okay? That's the thing. But this is one of the biggest challenges. Well, of course, I do not blame them, because this kind of information and are quite tricky, and because they do not know what they need to do, because this kind of software they only know how to use. It's very normal. It's like designer, they know how to use a certain software, but they do not know how the software works. Well, technically, he's not the one who's doing the programming for software. Reasonable.
Okay. All right. Here's the second question.
Oh wow, this is a really general question. What's a recommended laptop around budget of 4K? There's a lot. There's a lot of laptop that can suitable for budget 4K. But that is why this is one of the problem, that one of the hardship we have. What you want the laptop for? 4K, there's a lot of laptop can suitable for you. More than 4K also have, lesser than 3K also have, or maybe around 3K also have. That's why I say, what are you going to use your laptop for? Just let me do a little deduction of what Mr. Dennis, sorry, I don't know if you are Mr. or Mrs. But let's see, if you want to use the 4K as, let me see, you are a student and you are wanted to game, of course you wanted to game, and you wanted to do your schoolwork, your college work, I do suggest that you can go for the AMD Ryzen, the new, you can, most likely you guys know already, the new AMD Ryzen laptop coming. For AMD graphic CPU is actually not too bad, and it's really quite good for multitasking. So I do suggest you go for that, and it's actually way cheaper than Intel. Yeah. Since your question a bit hard for me to answer. Okay, next one. Let's see. When will Illegear open a showroom in Penang? I plan to buy one. More preferred design series or Ultrabook series and recommendation. Okay, you have two questions over here. Let me just go one by one. When will Illegear open a showroom in Penang? Very soon. Stay tuned. Okay, but just let you know, we have one already at Johor Bahru. We already opened one there. Of course, we plan to extend more and more lah. So let's go for the second question. I plan to buy one. I prefer more to a designer series. Well, we do have a few designer series and ultrabook series, but I do not know what kind of performance you're looking for. I do not know, you're looking for a rendering machine, or you're just looking for a normal creator machine, because they do have a few categories on that. Just let me go one by one. This might be a bit long, so I try my best. If you want to go to a hardcore designer series and without budget constraint, of course, I do suggest you can go for the Onyx Pro series, and which is lighter and which is smaller and which is using a max performance graphic card, which are suitable for you doing to rendering, and have a high CPU for you to do all the other stuff. Yeah, of course, you need to have a decent RAM. And if you're looking for just a normal ultrabook series and you do not really want to have a really high performance on in terms of rendering or in terms of all the like coding and stuff, we do have a tool, which is the 14-inch Ionic and the 15-inch Ionic. But for these two models, sadly, we currently only inside do not have a dedicated graphic card like GTX or RTX. Inside is only using a bare minimum graphic card, which is the MX250, that one. Only that one. So in terms of performance, it's very big difference. Very, very big difference. That's why you need to know what you're going for. You just let me know. Maybe I can answer you more on that. Oh yeah, sorry. Just now, never mind, it's okay. Just let me continue on. If you're looking, just now the Ionic one have a very huge battery life compared to the Onyx Pro because of the graphic card. If you're only looking at the battery power itself, the Ionic series definitely is the top of the notch. Okay, let's go for the next question first. If I install an M.2 myself, you still want the warranty? No, you will not, unless you broke it, of course. If you know what you're doing, if you're installing it nicely, then nothing happened over there, no, you will not want, unless you plug in, then you purchase the M.2 store. Okay, that one is another stuff lah. But if you just install normal, if you know what you're doing, no, you will not want the warranty. Are there any recommendation for laptop to do game development? Oh, okay. This is a bit deep. Okay, let's see. Game development including, of course, coding, planning, and in all the 3D layout, everything. Let's see. Let me just generalize everything in one question. You want to do from the zero until the end, including all the designing, include all the coding. Of course, I do well on prices. Laptop model wise, I cannot say because it depends on you. But let me say what the requirement you need. You need to have a good CPU and a GPU. Why I say that? Because CPU usually are for the coding wise, and the GPU power are for your designing wise. Since you say game development, I just make it from the 0 to 100% from all the process, and you need to have a good decent RAM. Don't get 16 gig, because from what my experience, from what I know from the people, I have a few friends also do game development. They are screaming on the 16 gig RAM. Even 32 are quite stressed out already. They are actually wanted to go for 64 gig RAM. So actually, it's really depending on what you do. If you are doing Unity, well, it's different. Or maybe you are doing Unreal Engine 4, or maybe even the Unreal Engine 5. That one will be much more worse. So it's a general question. So I just say you need a good CPU and GPU, good RAM, SSD. That's all.
Okay, now ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the lucky draw session, we would like to introduce our next guest next week, Mr. Henry Tan from Trinity. He's the founder of Trinity, the company. All right, let's start the lucky draw session. Today we'll be giving away 2 official Illegear merchandises. Let's pick the winner.
And remember, the winners have to present themselves and validate themselves in chat within the 2-minute timer.
You guys want to have a look what gift you have?
All right, the first winner will be Liu Yiwei. Liu Yiwei, are you here? Please comment quick before the timer runs out. Let's answer a few questions while we're at it.
Sure. I see we Illegear release a phone model in future like Razer phone or ROG phone. Can you stay tuned? Actually,
I'm also anticipated.
Well, can you stay tuned? But actually, I do saw one very interesting question. Well, this one is actually also regarding on your student. Let's see where he goes. I remember someone asking regarding some parents disagree on buying gaming laptop.
I saw about it. He asked.
Yeah, that is a very good question. Let me answer on that. His question is asking about some parents disagree on buying gaming laptop. So is it reasonable if buy a gaming laptop but less use on gaming? Okay, let me just try to give you guys some more information about this one. Why gaming laptop are actually not only for gaming. Why this market use this term gaming laptop? Because of the performance. gaming laptop packed of performance, because in gaming you need to have a very high quality stuff, especially all those new AAA game. That's why we call it gaming laptop with performance. Usually it turn out that. But for parents, usually, of course, sorry to say that most of the parents do not like this term gaming laptop. That's why we do call them performance laptop. It's also one of the reasons. Well, because gaming is not equal to gaming. It's only have a big performance, especially you want to study on much more niche, very niche program like designing, game creation, rendering, 3D, whatever Maya, or even you do animation. It's all require a performance laptop. You need to have performance within it. If without performance, how you going to do the stuff? So actually, gaming laptop you do need to use for gaming. You can use for performance. You can. I'm an artist myself. I'm also a designer myself. I also tend to use those high graphic laptop and desktop to do my stuff. So do not worry about the gaming word. You just need to let your parent know this is only packed with performance. Only the name is gaming because it's majority for gaming because of performance. Of course, it's not useless outside of gaming. It's still useful. Only the look. Well, depending on the look, some people doesn't like the looks because it's too gaming feel. Well, this is very subjective lah. So, but true. Just to me, some might feel very gaming. I might not like to bring it out, but well, it's a very subjective question.
Okay. All right, the time is up. I guess we'll just have to pick another winner.
Well, see, there's a lot of questions around. Wow, I never expect a lot of people asking so many questions around here. Let's see. That's one question. I would like to answer this also. Mr. Chen Ka-Chuan, no offense, but why should I choose Illegear? Because Illegear is quite a new company, right? Well, Illegear, if you compare to the rest of the brand in the world, we are not.
Are you here? Please comment quick before the timer runs out.
I never. After you first. Okay.
Okay,
since you're waiting for the person we're waiting for the timer, let me answer this person. Because this is quite an interesting question. Well, he say, why should I choose Illegear since Illegear is a new company? Well, for 9 years, I don't think Illegear quite new. But, well, if you want to choose Illegear, first of all, there's a few things you need to consider. Of course, you need to know the brand. If you know the brand good enough, of course, you are fine to choose anywhere. So just let me say why Illegear. Well, you can say I'm a bit hard selling, but just let me say the difference between us and the other brand. For us, we do have more to customization value. We do have able to let you have more choices on your customization when you bought a laptop. You want to do what kind of RAM? Like for the other places, for the other brand, they might not able to do. It's not that they are bad. It's not that they are better. There's no such thing. It's just depending what you're going to go for and which one is much more comfortable. And of course, the bigger brand of course, much more expensive. That one is one thing, but that one is based on your liking. Of course, you need to know the laptop itself. You can comment. Well, if you want to know more, you actually can come and test. You actually can look up some reviews on the internet. They already can test out the laptops. And of course, some people ask. I saw one question also. I do not know where it goes, Ray. Maybe I just lost it. Which? Yes, the Intel and AMD processor was a different one. This is a very good question. I do not know whether we have time or not. Just let me try to answer a bit. This might be a very good question for you guys. Okay.
All right. Here comes the winner.
We have a winner.
Let's go for
winner
first.
Already. All right. Congrats to Chan Wan Jun. You're the first winner of the lucky draw today.
Are you
Moving
here?
on.
Yeah.
Just now she presented. All right. Next,
nice.
Let's see who will win the second prize.
You got the okay. Let's go. Let's back to the question. What is the difference between AMD and Intel? Let me try to be as easy as possible. I do not want to go until the numberings. So okay, just let me do a really simple definition. Okay, first, Intel are more to you can say like a race car, and AMD is like a 10-ton truck. Why do I say that? Intel is more to a single processing power, which is better for gaming. A game, they're only running on a single core, which is much more better. If you're more to a gamer, and of course you're more to a programmer, C++ programmer, Java, or those kind of C++, Intel might be better because it's running per line. As easy as that. I'm just use a very brief explanation. Actually, there's more than that. And for AMD, it's actually good for multi-core processing power, which is better for multi-processing. So I use a very simple term that you're rendering something, then you're doing something else. It's like you're designing and rendering at the same time. Something like that, which are better for AMD. And the other big difference, this might be a bit sensitive, and I just say it out because it's very damn obvious already. Intel is much more expensive than AMD. Well, Why? Because this, well, you can say the demand and supply are different between these two. So Intel are considered the first market, you can say. So of course it will a bit more expensive, and of course Intel tend to have more configuration. I mean, like those of they do have more modification, they have more setting, more tweaking, and more R&D. So if you mention about stability, if you're talking about stability, currently, yeah, Intel are better. But for AMD, there might be some glitches somewhere, like you're using some, you can say, not very you're using unorthodox software, you're using some other software that not popular, or maybe you're doing other kind of stuff. It might not work so well with AMD, but this one is very, very, very subjective. So don't take everything to the face value. That this is very subjective. It's just based on like 30% people what happened in the world. So it's not really happened to all of them. So you need to know what is the main difference. So, but based on what I can explain, the main difference, of course, one is for single core, another is for multi-core.
Okay.
All right, let's draw for another winner, shall we?
Yes, the last one.
Which is also the last.
I want the prize too. Wow. Never mind. Pray to I, Jesus. Well, in the meantime, if you guys want to ask any question right now, I'm free to answer if you guys want to answer. Who?
Arvindran?
Okay, let's see this question. Wow, this is another very general question. Very, very general. Well, what's the laptop recommended for designer? Okay, let's see. Let me assume designer.
All right, Arvindran, please comment. I'm the winner.
Yes, winner. Show yourself up before the timer run out. But before that, let me continue with this question. Let's see, designer. You are more to those. Let's see, you are more on premier. Okay, sorry, in Chinese. You are more on normal flat designing. You are doing for poster, or maybe you are doing for normal, not for construction use, maybe probably normal designing. It's just more onto 2Ds and more to poster design and more to social media designs, or maybe more to company profile design, those kind of designer, yeah. Well, for those kind of laptop, I do suggest that you can go for a minimum CPU. You don't need to go that high because this kind of designer, they only need to have a good monitor. Yes. For CPU and GPU, you can go to a moderated one. At least i7, please don't get i5, because i5 sometimes you might render something, it might be slower. You can go for at least i7 or maybe a AMD Ryzen 7. And for graphic card wise, you can go as low as even you can go to GTX 6050. That one is also fine already. Or maybe you can go to the minimum RTX 2060 if your budget is okay. But for this one, I do suggest that you can go for higher RAM and SSD, because usually for this kind of designer, they tend to need more RAM processing power, because your Photoshop eat a lot of RAM, or maybe your Adobe Illustrator eat a lot of RAM. So that's another thing. Because since you say for designer, I just treat it as those normal designing. Well, I do not know the term because I forget what's the job called already, but usually for those really for company designers. If you are designing for architecture, that one is different already. That one is very different. If you are a designer for blueprints, or you're a designer for what kind of like technology blueprints, like all those equipment stuff, that one is a totally different. Designer for car blueprint, or maybe the interior design is very much different. Yes, so that one will be another question. Oh, there's one more question. Other than laptop, can we know more about the desktop and also gears from Illegear? Oh, what you want to know more, bro? Well, since you want to know more, I might like say until tomorrow already. So I need to know what you want to know more about it first. Because maybe I just go general lah. Then you can just answer question me again. So another one, which laptop are good for designing with good color accuracy screen? Oh, okay, this one is more to a more straightforward one. Easy. Okay, for us, because I'm working for Illegear, of course I know Illegear. If you're asking me other brand one, of course I can answer you, but under the table, yeah, not so straightforward. Well, if you are looking for a designing for Illegear's one, of course I will definitely ask you to go for sRGB 100% one. Or we have a model which is the Onyx Pro. It's actually come with the 4K resolution.
Sean?
Time's up. Oh yeah,
sorry to interrupt. So the winner was not present, so we will
we'll just announce it tomorrow.
Announce it off stream.
there are a lot of questions. I'm sure we won't be able to answer all of them.
Yeah, true. True.
I'm really sorry.
I can answer you guys off screen. Don't worry, you can just pass a question to them. I can try to answer you guys off screen. No worries. Or maybe we can treat it as the last question. I do not know whether this can be a question or not. Currently, I'm studying at APU and I have a course of 3D modeling and I try to render my 3D in 3ds Max. However, it took longer. Okay, well, rendering actually are depending on a lot of stuff. First, your background program. Second, your CPU power, your GPU power, because you're running on 3D Max. I do not know what kind of project you're running. Let's see, you are running on rendering for, let's see, you're running, let's see, how many pixels? Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'll just make it, you want to render on a 2K pixel. Then you want to, his question still got one. Okay, it's even longer than my friend. Even buy a latest gaming laptop, it even take longer than my friend. What actually factor that affect the speed of rendering? Okay, back to the same question. Okay, what affect the rendering? Even though if you use the highest graphic card, the highest CPU, it sometimes might be slower than your friend, as you just stated. Because I do not know your spec, just let me do a very speculated answer, because I do not know. Okay, is your RAM and is your SSD better than your friends? Okay, assuming yes. If your RAM and SSD is higher than your friend's one, better than your friend's one, the read and write speed better than your friend one. Another thing might be the problem, a few things. Is your rendering codecs set properly? Yes, your 3D Max codecs, did you properly set to, sorry for the interruption, did you properly set your 3D Max, where was I? Oh yeah, your codecs, did you properly set your codecs to your graphic card? Did you set your 3D setting to the highest setting in your NVIDIA graphic? And another one, might be your antivirus are running at the back, or maybe your Windows updates running at the back. You be sure you need to check all those things are actually running or not running, because this kind of thing actually do affect a lot on the rendering system. And especially is that when you're rendering, you're opening like 20 tabs of Google, also will affect, because your RAM are fully occupied on other software. Because as I said, Intel, most likely you are using Intel, let me guess. Intel more to a single core processing. Once it's running something and you run something else, it might share the clock and it will go slower. Yes, a lot of things can affect. It's like you're doing fire threat benchmarking. You can see sometimes the score are different, even though you're using the same thing, it runs differently. Because when you cap to a certain value, when you use the software to a certain value max, it might run differently. Sometimes it might drop a bit. Sometimes your ambient temperature, maybe like using your laptop without the charger. Yes, of course it will affect. Of course you need to do rendering. Of course, let me suggest you guys, when you're gaming, when you do rendering or also, please plug in. Because if you not plug in, it's not enough power to render anything. So you need to know that what are you running, or of course, if you want to let me answer you more, give me the spec you're using, get me your friend's spec you're using, then maybe I can deduct more on that, because currently your question do not say too much on what kind of spec you guys using. It's hard for me to see what is the problem of that. So I only can say that the major thing is most likely the program you're running, or maybe the other stuff are running in the background. That's the most I can say.
All right, here comes to the end of this session today. And once again, congrats to the winner today, and also thank you especially to Mr. Sean for making time for this session, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Bye.
No problem. See you guys.